to meaning in life. And also there's a number of concurrent influences on meaning in life in this type of real-time data. But nonetheless, this small effect can have wide implications for the way we think about meaning as something that's linked to the mundanity of our everyday lives. Now, still, there are several possible explanations for this relationship. Routine can be directly related to meaning in life, like we're proposing here. Or alternately, this relationship might be explained by other mechanisms, right? One we were really interested in looking at is that the routines might share a relationship with meaning in life only indirectly if we have a tendency to routinize already meaningful activities. And so we wanted to see if the content of the routine mattered for its relationship with meaning in life. And this is important if we tend to routinize otherwise meaningful activities, and we do this. There's evidence suggesting that goal-driven actions are pursued with routinized behaviors in almost all spheres of life. Things like school, work, and personal health goals are all conducted. They tend to be conducted in routine ways. We share routines with others in this sort of relationship building ways. And so we share routines with our loved ones in order to maintain our relationships and facilitate our family lives and the thriving and continuity of our friendships. Further, people volunteer and donate money and engage in religious activities like prayer, service attendance, rites of passage. They do all of these things in routinized ways. So the relationship between routines and meaning in life might actually just be a byproduct of this standard routinization of already meaningful behaviors. And so together with my graduate student, Fahima Mohideen, I set out to test this alternate explanation for this relationship between routines and meaning in life. To do so, we measured routine and meaning in life as in the previous experience sampling study. So here we had 93 participants, about 1,500 episodes. They once again said what they were doing right then and reported the degree to which it was a routine and the degree to which they felt meaning at that time, exactly the same as in the previous study. But then we added several measures to capture the meaningfulness of the content of the behaviors. So to do this, we also asked participants about their relationship closeness they were feeling right then. So if they were with someone, which was about half of the time, how close to that other person were they feeling right then? To assess the goal-directedness of that current behavior, we asked them how much is their current activity contributing towards fulfilling one of your goals. We asked them about the pro-social orientation of their current behavior and the religious connotations of their current behavior. I'll say that was very low in frequency. There weren't very many episodes where participants said they were engaging in a religious practice. And what we found was a replication of our previous effect. So routines, once again, predicted meaning in life within person in this new sample, replicating the previous experience sampling study. Additionally, we found main effects for these other behavioral content measures predicting meaning in life. So relationship closeness, goal orientation, and the prosociality of a behavior was related to concurrent feelings of meaning in life, as we would expect from a host of findings in the literature. So this confirms that we are measuring aspects of the behavioral content that are indeed meaning relevant. Religion didn't predict meaning in life here, I think because of the low frequency with which they suggested that they were engaging in a religious activity. Centrally, when we controlled for each of these behavioral content variables, the degree to which one's present behavior was a routine continued to positively relate to momentary feelings of meaning in life. So controlling for relationship closeness, routines still predicted meaning in life. Same with goals and prosociality and religion. Controlling for these aspects of what the behavior is and how it might otherwise be meaningful, routine still emerged as a predictor of meaning in life. Furthermore, routine didn't interact with this activity content to predict meaning in life either. These findings support a direct relationship between routines and meaning in life, regardless of what types of behaviors are being routinized. Even mundane behaviors that aren't otherwise meaningful relate to meaning in life if they're carried out in a routine fashion. Beyond examining the content of these behavioral routines, we were next interested in examining the role of context for the relationship between routines and meaning in life. One way that we've begun to examine this question is to test this relationship during positively valenced life transitions. Things like starting school, or a new job, or moving to a new city. Now, these types of life transitions are positively valenced. Participants will tell you, this is a good thing in my life. And they're goal-directed, right? Enrolling in grad school is a goal-directed pursuit. And so we might expect them to be, universally associated with increases in meaning in life. But if you've ever been through transitions like these, I'm sure you'll agree that they can be really, really difficult. You may have even felt pretty empty or meaningless when you're in the midst of these types of transitions. Now, some research has pointed to an array of difficulties associated with various positive life transitions. So life transitions can cause disruptions in the way we view our roles, our connections, our status, and even ourselves. So positive life transitions, like in obtaining employment post-college, can actually be associated with decreases in life satisfaction and decreases in environmental mastery. Similarly, first-generation college students who have sort of gone on to achieve this goal and made this important transition into college report a great deal of guilt and loneliness in that transition phase. And so, as part of a larger project examining meaning in life through these transitions, we're also examining routines as one potential predictor of meaning in life in these transition times. Now, when we go through life transitions, even if they're positive and goal-directed, they disrupt our routines. And what we're interested in is whether the degree to which people continue to enact routines through these times might relate to their meaning in life. And so, as an initial test to this question, together with my graduate student, Elif Ulataj, we have recruited 238 prolific participants who had reported in a pre-screen that they had started a new job in the previous 2 months. So this is a positive life transition. They report it as being a good thing, and it's sort of something they're dealing with at the time. We have them respond to the meaning in life questionnaire, as well as assess a number of different perceptions of this transition, of their transition into a new job. Among these event characteristics, we included items regarding their routines. So for instance, they were asked, I'm continuing to enact routines throughout this event being the new job. And what we found was, again, a positive association between enactment of routines in these times and meaning in life during this life transition into a new job. And so this suggests that enacting routines through transition periods relates to meaning in life at that time. And this was really striking to me because we also had participants rate a number of other perceptions of this transition phase, things like emotional significance, external control, impact, predictability, status change, their social connectedness. And these things did not relate to meaning in life in these transition periods. But what did emerge was this relationship between routines and meaning in this particularly sensitive time. Now we're continuing this work with longitudinal studies to examine how routine enactment might predict changes in meaning in life across the course of these different life transitions, and also experimental work to see if we can interject some routine interventions to have an effect on meaning in life drops during these transition periods. Extending this work, examining the role of context in the relationship between routines and meaning in life, we've also sought to test this relationship amid life difficulties. Importantly, the drive to thrive theory of resilience suggests that sustaining the structure of daily routines in the midst of challenge or conflict or loss can be critical to mitigating distress and promoting psychological well-being. Now, there are studies showing how people who are facing a variety of difficult circumstances can make use of routines to mitigate negative psychological effects of these life difficulties. For instance, prisoners facing prolonged incarceration use routines to cope with stress, to pass time, and to foster a sense of agency. Families with chronically ill family members engage in more routine behaviors, and engagement in these routine behaviors serves to fulfill many positive functions for all the family members, including the chronically ill family member, but also those around to support them. In a meta-analysis of 59 studies of forced migrants, positive associations between trauma and subsequent PTSD and anxiety were mediated by the regularity of daily primary care routines. Upholding these daily routines mitigated the negative psychological effects of this trauma for people facing forced migrations. So together, this work suggests that routines can be really important for providing this protective framework in difficult times, when meaning might be the most at risk. And so we wanted to examine if routines might be particularly related to meaning in life in these difficult circumstances. And, as we were working through this project, COVID-19 hit. And suddenly, quarantine, mandates, school closures, large-scale shifts to remote work upended our everyday schedules and really changed the time use of the global masses. We saw dramatic disruptions in time use behaviors over this period. Our everyday lives changed a lot. Now, the study cited here documented shifts in all sorts of behaviors, things like physical activity, sleep, media consumption, alcohol use, social time among young adults in the US early in the pandemic. Our routines changed a lot. At the same time, we saw drops in meaning in life compared to prior to the pandemic. And further, stress associated with COVID itself negatively related to meaning in life. In the wake of COVID-19, public health officials urged the maintenance of daily living routines to enable positive mental health. So for instance, in March of 2020, the World Health Organization issued guidance to individuals in isolation, telling them to try as much as possible to keep your personal daily routines or create new routines if circumstances change. And so we wanted to test the validity of this recommendation in terms of meaning in life, specifically in this difficult pandemic context. Again, this was an experience sampling study led by Fahima Mohideen. We had 1,629 episodes from 100 different participants. These were collected in April and May of 2020, so right at the beginning of the pandemic period. And all of these participants were in Newark, New Jersey, which was at the time and through much of the pandemic, a really serious COVID-19 hotspot with deep impacts across much of the community. Again, we asked participants to report the degree to which current behaviors were routines and their meaning in life across episodes, and we replicated the relationship between meaning in life and routines in this COVID-19 context. What's exciting is we can compare the effect sizes in this study in the context of COVID to our previous study collected from the same population prior to COVID. Not the same sample, but the same population. And what we found was that the effect sizes for the relationship between routine and meaning were stronger, twice as strong, during COVID compared to in normal times, pre-COVID times, which might suggest that routines can be particularly relevant for maintaining feelings of meaning in life in difficult times when those feelings of meaning are most threatened. So together, this work highlights the important role that coherence can play in the experience of meaning in life. It also holds implications for the way we understand why meaning in life is an important and adaptive human experience. One implication of this finding, this body of findings, for the way we think about meaning in life has to do with how we think about the function of this experience. What does meaning in life do that makes it so great? And meaning in life is great. Researchers have been cataloging a host of beneficial outcomes related to meaning in life in domains like physical health, so meanings related to longevity, decreased risk of heart disease, decreased cognitive decline, better health behaviors and health outcomes. There are relationships between meaning and mental health, decreased suicidal ideation, lower incidence of psychological disorder. And work and relationship success are also related to meaning in life. So this body of work very convincingly points to this idea that meaning in life is a functional experience. It does something good for us. But that's where the story had stopped. There was no framework within which to understand why meaning in life would be this functional and adaptive experience related to all these important life outcomes. But bringing coherence into this picture can help with this question. Importantly, detecting environmental coherence is a survival relevant action. Picking up on the regularities and associations in our world can help us to navigate it most successfully. And so coherence can provide us with a clue about why meaning in life is such a beneficial experience, because it actually connects us to our environment in functional ways. In formulating this functional approach to meaning in life, I drew on Schwartz and Clor's very prominent feelings as information approach, which suggests that our feeling states serve to provide us with information, and that information directs our processing and our behavior in important and functionally adaptive ways. These feelings guide us through our environments and influence our interactions with our worlds in ways that are most fitting and leading to the best outcomes for those situations. I applied this approach to meaning, suggesting that feelings of meaning also provide us with information like all other feelings. Specifically, feelings of meaning give us new information about the presence of regularities and coherence in our environments. With this information, we can then leverage this knowledge to function within a given situation in a manner best suited for that environment. And so we proceed differently if we feel a sense of meaning at a certain time than if we feel a sense of meaninglessness or low levels of meaning. We proceed differently in ways that fit with those environments. Now, our work showing this easy access to meaning tied to the mundanity of our everyday lives, our routines, doesn't cheapen this experience. Sometimes when I tell people about this work, they get disappointed that meaning isn't only this very lofty thing to strive for, but it's kind of available for everyone. But just because meaning can come easily doesn't make it less valuable. Just because meaning can be found in the mundane doesn't mean it's not an important experience with profound implications. Quite the opposite. Instead, it shows how feelings of meaning emerge from a connection between a person and their external worlds. Coherence, even if it seems less existentially profound than purpose or significance, links us to our environments in critical ways and highlights the importance of these feelings of meaning for adaptive outcomes. And so, on the whole, I think this work represents the importance of examining everyday experiences of ordinary people, even if they seem mundane. We can learn a lot from examining experiences of meaning as they're playing out in regular people in everyday life. Because to understand its profound impact, we must also embrace the mundanity of meaning in life. Thank you.